discussion was the context of 5:30 and why Jesus, if he's God, he didn't know the last Dawah.
Yeah.
That was it.
So the 5:30 we have already dealt with.
The two
Yeah.
main reasons. So
do
basically,
you think we have dealt with it?
To resume John 5:30
Yeah.
is that Jesus has the same authority as a father because he can do.
Except he can't do anything by himself. He's dependent on the on God.
During his ministry, he was doing what the Father was telling him to do. He was talking what the Father was everything, because Jesus is the visible image of the invisible God.
Okay, you said during his ministry. Let me ask you this. Did Jesus come to the earth by his will, or was he sent here by somebody else?
Why is that important?
Because you said during his ministry he was listening just to the Father. I'm asking you now, before his ministry, did he come by his will?
Well, the Bible doesn't say whether he came by his will or not.
Well, it does. It does. If you read the Bible, it does. Jesus says, I've not come by my will,
yes,
but by the will of the one
who sent me.
Exactly. So don't say the Bible doesn't say it. It does say it.
Right, but okay, so it does say it.
Okay, so before the ministry, he was still subservient to Father, to his God. Yes? He says, I did not come by my will. That means his will. If he wanted to come here, he didn't come by that. He came by the, yes, exactly. He was sent. That's a very good word you use. Because when you send someone, you're commanding someone. Yes? Jesus did not come here willingly. He did not come by his will. That is the important thing. Even before his ministry, he was subservient and subordinate to the Father. He was basically obeying the command of God. Now let me ask you, after his ascension. So we have dealt with before he came to the earth. During his ministry, both this time he was actually dependent and following and subject to the command of God.
And now the things that only God can do.
No.
Yes.
He cannot do.
You're not going to dance around with me on John 5:30, brother.
John 5:30, give me the answer already.
I already read to you the whole passage where Jesus was doing all these miracles, and this was
he doing
the
it?
Jews upset because he was working during the Sabbath.
Was he doing it by himself though? That's the point.
Brother,
was he dependent on someone, or was he doing it by himself?
Brother.
John 5:30 gave you the answer already.
You don't have to believe it, brother.
It's not about me believing. I'm telling you, read your Bible.
I'm not here just to basically read you the context of John 5:30, right? And then you can either accept it or not accept it.
Look. It's not about me accepting or not. I'm asking you.
That Jesus was claiming to have divine attributes.
No, he did not.
Attributed to God.
He did not have any divine attributes.
If I read to you that the dead will hear his voice, that he's going to resurrect the dead, that he has been given all judgment by the Father.
And at the end, look, at the end he says, I can by myself do nothing. You're ignoring that bit. I know you don't like it.
No, because
you're ignoring it.
Because
what you're doing is you're cherry picking verses which you like.
No, you are cherry picking words.
How?
Because you just basically read the John 5:30.
You don't like that, do you?
Because it's out of context. You're taking it out of context. Brother.
No, it's not. The context you gave me. The context is about that.
Yes.
The context about that he does all these things which the Father also does. But then at the end he gives you the reason why he does them. Because he by himself cannot do these things. He has to depend on someone who's a higher authority. You know where this is explained? Wait. Do you know where this is explained even in more detail? In the book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 22. Read it. Acts 2:22, yeah.
2:22.
Yeah. That basically gives you a much clearer picture of what Jesus is and what he's capable of doing.
Men of Israel, listen to these words. This is Jesus the Nazarene, was a man appointed to you by God, with miracles, wonders, and signs that God did among you through him.
Yes.
So
who did the signs and the miracles?
As you yourself know.
Yeah. Who did the signs and miracles?
According to God's determined plan and foreknowledge.
Yeah.
You use lawless people to nail him to a cross and kill him. You read that? You use lawless people to nail him on the cross and kill him. That same passage that you are appealing to in order to prove that Jesus was depending on God, which I
You completely ignore the beginning, isn't it?
Brother, please, you know that's why.
Acts 2:22. Did you read it? Did you understand it?
Condemns your Quran, condemns Muhammad.
Now he's going to a different tangent now.
No, because
what did you? Jesus is a man appointed by whom?
By God.
But I thought he was God. He says he was a man. He was a man. He didn't say he was a God appointed by God. He was a man appointed by God. Who was he? Just a man appointed by God. And who did those miracles and wonders? Who did it through him? God did it through him. I know you don't like that. That's the reason you went straight to the crucifixion, resurrection bit. Because you know you like that bit. And this is what I'm saying. Instead of you arguing instead of you disputing what I'm telling you with regards to the context of the verse about Jesus not being able to do anything by himself because it is God who's doing it through him, as it says in the book of Acts.
But why are you ignoring the fact that he can do only what God can do, brother?
No, he can do only what tells him to do.
Just as
read the book again.
Acts,
okay, read Acts 2. Looks like you didn't read it properly. Read it again. Acts 2:22, the one you just read.
It's like, okay, like I said, brother, you don't have
No, read it again. Read it.
You don't have to believe it, although you should believe it.
The reason you don't want to read it is because you know it clearly says that he was just a man appointed by God.
He has granted him the right to pass judgment because he is a son of man. Do not be amazed at this, because a time is coming when all who are in the graves will hear who? His voice, the voice of Jesus, and come out. Those who have done good things to the resurrection of life. So basically,
but he does.
Jesus was just a man, brother.
Look. The important thing.
Jesus was just a man.
Yeah, go on.
If Jesus was just a man, brother, the things that he was claiming will be idolatry. It will be blasphemy, because Jesus was basically saying, listen, it's like me saying, I'm only a man. I'm a human being. I sin but I can do whatever God can do.
Yeah.
I can resurrect. I can give life. I can resurrect the dead. I can forgive.
Why didn't he just say he was God? If he's capable of doing all that, why didn't he just say, I'm God? Because you know, many Christians actually give this reason, that the reason he did not say that is that because he would be killed instantly. If that was the case, why didn't the Jews kill him instantly?
The reason why he didn't go around saying, I am God, worship me, brother, because for a first century Jew, that would have meant that he was claiming to be God the Father.
Why?
Because
why would they think that?
Because Yahweh was like a father to his creation, to the Yahweh himself says, Israel, you are my firstborn.
No, I know they believe that Yahweh was a father. Even Jesus believed that. Jesus said Jesus said to Mary Magdalene, I go to my father and your father.
Your God, my God.
My God. What does my God mean?
Yes.
When Jesus says my God, what does it mean?
He had a relationship from eternity past, brother.
What kind of relationship did he have with his God?
Father and son, brother.
No, that was in the first when he says my father. He says two things. He says my father and then he says my God. My father, wait. My father, that relationship I understand is a father-son relationship. Yes. But what is the second relationship where he says my God?
My God and your God.
What does it mean, my God? When Jesus says my God, remember Jesus is fully God. This fully God.
You know why?
I didn't ask you why. I'm asking you what is the understanding of your relationship?
Because
it was an example.
You say God. Let me say again.
When he says my God, what does it mean?
Yahweh is God of all flesh.
What do you mean? What do you mean God? How many gods are there?
Yahweh.
How many gods are there?
One God. Don't answer.
No, but I want to understand. When you say Yahweh is a God of all flesh.
Let me bring you back to the topic of this conversation, brother. It's not about the Trinity. We agree that we're not talking about the Trinity. We're talking about the concept of John 5:30 and why Jesus is not the last hour. Those are two topics which we are not the Trinity.
You're struggling with John 5:30 because John 5:30 clearly says, I can of myself do nothing. Even after, let's say, look, even if Jesus said that he has the attributes similar to that of the Father, he does similar to things that what God would do and no one else could do, at the end, it destroys your argument when he says these words, I can by myself do nothing. It destroys your argument.
Because he was a human, had a human brain.
Yeah. Was he God at that time?
Listen, brother.
Was he only human or God as well?
He was connected.
Yeah.
He was connected.
Yes.
Brother, so listen. So
Why not?
I explain to you the context of John 5:30, brother, in which Jesus is claiming divine attributes only attributed to God. Whether or not you want to believe that or not, based on the fact that Jesus cannot do anything by himself.
Doesn't sound like God to me.
That's completely your...
If anyone tells me that God says I can of myself do nothing, I will say that is not God, because no God would say that he cannot do anything. Even you cannot say that as a human being, that I can do nothing.
Okay.
I mean, this just shows that Jesus Christ himself is trying to tell you that there is someone of a higher authority without whose permission I can do nothing.